Hello, everyone. Welcome to Allianz Joy. I'm so glad you're here today. I am so delighted to do this show and this episode today that is titled More Info for Parkinsons, right? Dive into the pool for more information for Parkinsons with LISA Gibson. LISA Gibson is my guest today. We are on this show and we are on Apple, we're on Roku, we're on Amazon. I hope you're watching. And if you're not watching today, I hope you're watching the replay. So I'm going to post that tomorrow. And this week, we're going to post it everywhere on social media. I know you are checking the replay, so I'm very happy about that. I'm going to introduce LISA Gibson, my guest for today. LISA is a longtime friend now. We met on the international and national stage. I say international because this company is all over. We met at SCW Fits. Those are stages, and this is a big company that does informative education, the largest educational company for fitness and wellness instructors. We met years ago there. LISA is a graduate of Columbia College in Chicago. Here we go, with an honor degree in theater and music. And LISA exudes fertility on both wet and dry environments in the pool, from cardio to yoga. That's why I'm so interested today in our conversation as well. Like I said, she was a presenter for Sara City Workouts, scwfits.com. Look that up. For 3 years teaching aquatic, Pilates and Yin Yoga, and has led teacher trainings internationally for Poolates and aquatic Pilates workout method. And we're going to talk about that a lot today. LISA is certified for Pilates, for Parkinson's and neuromuscular disorders with Ellen Herdman and Sarah Sessa, with an active IQ as a Active IQ, that's a company with 500-hour Pilates instructor for both mat and equipment work. She's also a delayed disease certified trainer, adding to her Parkinson's training with BOSU for active aging. LISA is also included in the Physical Mind Institute. She has certifications for that with ACA, AFAA, and AEA in America. So lots of certifications. We're talking here, LISA.
At one point or another, yeah.
Yeah, we can't talk about certifications forever, right? We are certification takers, serial certification people. Welcome to the show, LISA, my friend. Welcome today. I'm so glad you're here. Tell me about who is LISA.
Well, how I got from theater music to physical fitness education, and fitness work was through rehabbing my own injuries from when I was young and foolish, and through some other things. So started in my mid-40s. So I've been involved in fitness starting as a personal trainer, which basically we all did from that point, and just kept adding and going sort of down different paths. I'm also a musician. I write music. I'm a gardener. I love underwater archaeology. In fact, I love anything to do with water. So sort of me in a nutshell. The way I got from aquatics to Parkinson's was I was doing a Poolates certification. So Poolates is Pilates in the water.
Yeah.
And I was doing a demo class for Wisconsin Athletic Club, and a woman walked up to me in the locker room after the class crying. And my first thought, all our first thoughts, right? Oh my God, what did I do? And she said, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's 6 months ago. Your class is the first time that I have felt competent and safe. So of course I started crying, and she said, can you help me? And I said, absolutely. And then I went, boy, I need more information and training. And shortly after that, Balanced Body they have a newsletter every month. It's another Pilates certifying organization. And they ran this newsletter from this group in England that was running a Pilates for Parkinson's certification. So I literally sold everything I owned and went over there and did it.
I remember you did. All of a sudden you were down. You were in England.
Well, Sarah Cooperman, bless her, because I was scheduled for 3 more manias, and I said, I have this opportunity to go. And she said, good luck, have fun. Yeah. So so that was 6 years ago, and I've been working on it since.
And I remember that. What an amazing experience. And you took
That
your
was great.
training there. And since you have been teaching a lot, and you're also, like we just talked about, we don't just teach. And we're not
Right.
those
We do
kind of
other
people
things.
that we
Yes.
have a life. If we teach a lot, but our life is really, and I have to say, I might mention this, this is always, and this is always in the back of my head, right? And probably for you as well. We are true teachers. We are true instructors. We're bossy. Yeah, we're bossy, but we are in it for the outcome. As one of our mentors always says, and I have him dear in my heart, Lawrence Viscontini, and you have worked with him. It's all
Yes.
about the outcome and not the
Adore him.
end, right? And it's all about the people that we work with and what comes out of it. So if people walk up to you and they cry or they tell you how much impact, it's all about that. It's all
Yeah.
about in every workout and every training. That's why we do what we do.
It is about making a positive impact on someone's life, regardless of how small that can be. And one of the things that I have discovered is things that I have completely forgotten about. People will come up and say, I remember when blah, whatever it was. And I'd be like, wow, thank you for telling me that. And in my brain, I'm going, okay, I don't remember this at all.
Yes.
But that to me is the reason that we do the continuing education, that we do the work that we do, because there are so many people that need help, and there is so much misinformation out there.
Yes.
So that I think it's very important work that, yeah, I just love it. I don't know what else to say. I love being
Absolutely.
able to help people. Um,
And that is the beauty of it. And it's also so true what you're saying. There's so much misinformation. And people come to me and they will say, for instance, well, I remember doing a Tai Chi in the pool kind of class, and people said, well, in the pool, that's just no workout, right? You don't get anything out of it. And
oh, that's so wrong.
yeah,
It
duh.
is
And
so wrong.
or like I have chair yoga classes with a focus on posture and a focus on alignment and a focus on that balance, right? Same in the pool. So
Right.
tell me about that, because that is such a crazy thing when people say that to us, like, oh, that's no workout.
Well, there is so much research out there now, and there's so much information. I think about aquatics in particular. There is this thing that being in the pool is easier, which, yes, it is easier on your joints, particularly if you have joint issues like arthritis or other issues, or you've had a hip replacement. But being in the water forces you to work harder to balance. It engages your core much more. And as you know, in Pilates, we're all about core.
Yes.
The pressure of the water, the buoyancy of the water, all of that makes you work in a very, very safe environment. So when you're I work with older adults almost exclusively. I have had some younger clients, but for the most part, it's older adults. They've been injured, they've had surgeries, I'm working with a very balanced, challenged gentleman right now who didn't even know where he was in the pool, let alone in the air. And he has come so far. His balance has improved so much. But in terms of the water and how that works, buoyancy makes exercises harder. It
Mm,
forces you to stabilize more. You've got all of us teach in pools where, you've got a quarter of the pool and the rest of it's devoted to lap swimmers. It's devoted to open swim. It's devoted to, so the turbulence and the movement of the water makes you work harder. I love lap swimmers. I'm like, come on, just bring it on, because it's a challenge for my classes.
yeah.
Um, there are numerous studies out there now, and I have a few listed here in case you're interested, how water work, not just Pilates, and not just, I teach yoga in the water as well, not just aerobics, is very beneficial for people with COPD. 10
Yeah.
years ago, they were saying people with COPD should not be in the pool.
Yeah.
It
Explain that
is,
to me. Yes.
it
Yes.
is actually better for people who have heart issues, that the benefits between land-based and water-based exercise are almost equal. And what we take away when we're in the water is the fear of falling.
Absolutely.
Right? I will say the number one question that I get when I work with someone is my hair going to get wet? But if someone falls in the pool, the worst case scenario is their hair gets wet,
Yeah.
right? It's not like you fall off a piece of equipment or you fall on the gym floor,
Right,
you could
right, right.
you could really seriously hurt yourself. So part of the benefit of the water is the feeling of security that you have. Another benefit of the water is the fact that you have to work all the time to stabilize.
Yeah. It's constant activation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And explain to the viewers a little bit about the difference between, and people ask me the same thing, buoyancy and resistance, right? There's a difference between
Um,
the two.
yeah, well, buoyancy is a property of the water and resistance is your movement through the water, right? So what I would say when I'm doing a Pilates training, so let's say I'm doing a group of instructors, because I wouldn't talk this way to a class.
Right.
Okay, so buoyancy forces you to work harder to stabilize, because the deeper you go, right, you just have to work harder.
Right.
Resistance is your movement through the water. Let me correct that a little bit. Resistance is what happens when you move through the water.
When you move.
One of the ways that you modify exercises to increase or decrease the difficulty is by increasing or decreasing the amount of movement, right? Lever length, right? So, you know, the difference between coming from your arm straight, can't show you, your arm straight down by your side to coming up to shoulder height is considerably different than just moving your arm 25 degrees through the water.
Correct.
And what it does is it impacts, again, it impacts your ability to stabilize. Your core has to work harder when your limbs are moving, when you're buoyant.
Yes. And for the viewers also, that Joseph Pilates is the one, of course, at the beginning of the century behind what we now call
Pilates, right?
Pilates technique. And that was just done with machines, right? This was just the second
Well,
one.
mat work. Don't forget the mat work. Yeah, the mat work, I think in many respects is more difficult than the machines. The machines, people always think that the reformer, the Cadillac, the barrel, there's a million of them now, make exercises harder, more difficult, and they can. But they can also regress an exercise for people with Parkinson's or other neuromuscular disorders. It can be very, very helpful for those people. Like stirrups in a reformer will give them some support.
Yeah.
And you can reduce the range of motion and you can lighten up that resistance, and they're not up and down off the floor, which for many of them is really critical.
Absolutely.
So you can go both ways. I, for years, was a total mat work snob. I guess I still am a little bit, but the machines can go both ways. They can progress and regress.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I've had one myself in the studio for years.
Oh, cool.
And worked with people. So that was really, really awesome.
Yeah.
But at some point I got away with it, you know, got certified in Pilates on the mat. And that was just really where I can take away so many things, because I can combine it like I do now with some exercises in my yoga class, right? So that's a really great thing as well, that you can really just use that in a variety of formats. And Pilates was around when I was a dancer, but we didn't do anything in that sense with it outside just the ballet world, because we were just told to do those exercises in class.
Right.
And in the summer, go to New York and go to the Pilates studio, right? It was just the whole decade before it was taken out of, you know, that realm and spread in the world. And then Poolates came around. Where did that came from, Lisa?
Miami.
Really?
Rebecca Pfeiffer was one of the originator of Pilates, and she got request. I mean, Miami is the land of pools, right?
Yeah.
And she got requests from several clients asking her to put it in the pool. And she developed all of the basic exercises. I was her first certified master instructor.
Yeah.
And she had two girls in very short succession who are now 17 and 15, which makes me feel really old. And so we started working together on more exercises and doing trainings because she just couldn't do it anymore uh,
Mhm.
because she had two baby girls. And that's where it came from, but it came out of Miami.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't know this. Yes,
Yeah.
interesting. Interesting. So if we're talking healing people, helping people, this goes also beside Parkinson's, it also goes for more chronic pain, right? If
Oh,
we're talking
yeah.
arthritis, osteoporosis, and onset of all
Absolutely.
these bodily functions that at some point we'll really get more problems with, if we like it or
Right.
not.
I think um, there are many, many now. One of the benefits of living in the age that we live in is that there are so many options
Yeah,
for people.
yeah.
Um, Sarah Sessa, who was my instructor for Pilates for Parkinson's, just supervised a doctoral thesis for partner dancing for Parkinson's. I'm just like, well, how cool is
Oh,
that?
fun.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think that our clients and our potential audience, they have all kinds of very, very well researched options now.
Yes.
I, being a complete water rat, I like anything to do with water. I just love being in the pool and the safety factor and the ability to adapt many different um, exercises and disciplines
And
in
disciplines.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
water
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
to be able to individuate. Is that a word? Individualize. There we go.
Individualize. Yes. Yeah.
Individualize a program for people.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have so much to pull from now, which is just fabulous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I told you about a program I did with Qigong in the water, right?
Mhm.
It was just so graceful and so beautiful. And people didn't understand, or afterwards they did understand, but they didn't realize how much of the benefits they were getting out of it.
Right.
And at the same time, it was very emotional. It was very beautiful. People felt graceful. And it's so
Lawrence has a beautiful
easier to
program in the
feel
water. Yeah.
grateful, because he said, I'm just not graceful. And now I feel that I'm
Mhm.
graceful in the water. And people say that a lot, right? So that's
No,
wonderful.
that's brilliant. That's a great point.
Yeah.
People do feel more accomplished
Yeah.
frequently in the water. Having
Yeah.
said that, I have nice wide steps at the pool that I teach in, and so I put four people in the class on the pool steps to go into Dandasana, staff pose. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so that they can extend their legs. And they had a really hard time doing it. It was, and again, it was because of the water. They were just like, we thought this would be so easy, and
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
Yes.
So,
But a combination of disciplines as we're talking and the options that we have now
yes.
and the research behind it is incredible, of course, because we just know so much more about the functioning of the human body right now.
Right.
There's just so much more to it. And it
Yeah.
is wonderful. That's what I love about some other programs that I just got into is seat exercise for active agers, right? Just on
Oh, yeah. And Gilbert's program,
a little bit,
brilliant.
yeah. Ellen
Yep.
Gilbert's program. I love the
Yep.
teacher that got certified at that.
Love her. She's
People like
great.
it fit. And I kind of took that also to another format, just using the chair again for
Mhm.
flexibility and for balance. And that is also important. So what we do now with our age group, the active agers, is that they are looking for stability. They're all looking for being fall proof, right? Fall resistant,
Right. Or the ability to,
stronger.
it's one person said, I mean, obviously we do not want to fall. In fact, I just got a question from Anne because we were talking about this really serious injury I had a while ago. And she said, does it make you fear falling more? And
Yeah.
I said, well, that's a really interesting question because it was kind of a freak accident. So I'm going to say yes and no, but it's your ability to get back up.
Yeah.
It's how to take a fall.
Yes.
um one of the and how to get back up if that's possible, how to not break your hip. um it's all of that. And I think part of how to say this short and coherently, the more information you have about the body, the more you can incorporate that into what you're doing.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
So anatomy trains completely changed the way that I taught yoga. Just
Absolutely.
phenomenal. Excuse me. So yeah, like I said, we're very, very fortunate
We're
in
very informed. We're very fortunate to take what we knew and take that to a whole different dimension. What you're just saying is what I did, for instance, is ages of step training and crazy, not being able to walk the next day, sweating all over. I don't
yeah,
feel, I must be hurting. And now with the information we have, we can apply still that, break it down, analyze it to the max. I mean, pull it apart and
right.
use one simple exercise in 5 different ways to get people to understand what they should feel and where they should feel it, right? And that is so beautiful because we can just kind of like make it more. I like to be functional, to where people understand what they can do with it with their daily activities of living, right?
Right.
Every day kind of
How does this apply to life?
yeah, it's
How
way
does this
more
apply to
important.
life? Exactly.
That's where I say it helps you, not with your fear of falling necessarily. You might even fall, but I help you fall sexy and get back up, right? In the sense of, that's how I
I
call
don't think
it,
I've
right?
ever taken a sexy
Not to
fall
fall
in my
back,
life. How do you
sexy.
do
Yes.
that?
And people actually come to me and say, yeah, I fell, but my doctor said that
I
I
was
was
ending up on my
perfectly
garage
fine.
floor, contemplating whether I'm going to call the paramedics.
Yeah, it was just sexy, I mean, at least you just don't fall apart, right? At least you can get back up and you are less damaged than maybe you would be. So
Correct.
it is
And your
always the
recovery
outcome
is
people come
certainly
to me.
going to be
Yeah.
better and hopefully faster.
And faster, hopefully.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, and I get
Um,
it. Absolutely. Yes. And that water will also not just help you with posture correction and with balance, but also with strength.
yeah,
Because of what we
absolutely.
talked about, that resistance, right?
Right. Especially core
Absolutely.
strength. And the other interesting thing about the water is when you are adding flotation devices, you're, at least in the Pilates world, you are increasing exercise difficulty. So if I'm doing a tricep extension with those foam dumbbells,
Yeah.
and you have 1, 2, and 3 foam rings on
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
You do a tricep extension with a 3-ring foam dumbbell, you are working.
It's work.
So it's in many respects the opposite of what you're doing on land. You're thinking, well, this has got to be lighter, it's going to be easier. Not necessarily, no. So because you're working with that resistance and that buoyancy. Sorry,
You're
little
good.
tea.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, absolutely. I love talking about this, and I know that this is benefiting so many people. Always when I talk about exercise, I get so excited. I love having you on. We can go for hours, I know that. But indeed, it is all about this, being more aware of what we can do with a lot of different disciplines in a lot of different
Right.
ways, being more aware of what we can contribute. And it's not so difficult, and it's not easy at all either. So that's the other side of it that we discussed. Just a little bit on a personal note, Lisa, what else do you love to do? Because I know that you're a musician, you love to go out and there
I'm making
playing
a
in the
record.
garden.
I'm making a record right now
A
of
record.
original music. What else? It's too early for gardening. I am a 4-star art junkie. I have a ton of art around my house.
Yes.
What else am I do? I'm helping train right now, which is something else that I enjoy doing. We started this water yoga program in a Y that's in a town called Fish Creek, and Sister Y in Sturgeon Bay, which is where I'm living, wants to do the program. So I'm training someone to do that program, and she's not at all familiar with water, so it's letting her know the differences. And a land-based yoga practice, if you want more stability, you're going to go wider. In the water, you have to go narrower. So yeah, music's primary. Gardening.
I love the fact that
I
you're making an album.
Yeah, I'm doing, well, this one is more serious songs. I have a number of songs that are funny songs. And that will be a separate thing. Some of them are original funny songs, some of them are parodies of other songs.
Good thing. Yeah. How interesting. I love.
So yeah. Well, when I was 65, I decided to learn another language, and music's a language. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and
Absolutely.
it was something that I was never able to pursue when I was younger. So I'm doing it now.
Great. Why not? Right. I mean, just pursue our dreams, right? I just always talk about it as well. Go for it.
It wasn't even
Absolutely.
so much a dream. It was like, I had the great good fortune to go to a high school that had fabulous art departments, and you didn't get to do it all. You chose theater, you chose music, you chose art, you chose because they had national programs.
Yeah.
So I chose theater.
Yeah.
And but I did a lot of choral singing, and I was just like, why not get into it now? And the songwriting thing just came out of left field.
I love
My
it.
guitar instructor told me 2 years before I actually started writing that I was going to be a songwriter.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
That is
yeah, it was because I
crazy.
hated a certain song that he wanted me to learn. And
Yes.
uh, I came up with something else that I thought would be acceptable. I made a variation of that song. I rearranged it. And he goes, "Yeah, you're going to be a songwriter." And I went, "No, I'm not." Every
I
time I
love
say
it.
no, I'm not, I'm proven wrong. So,
No, you are. I love that. I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Another question that I have for you, of course, and I always ask this, how do you maintain your work-life balance? What is your
hmm.
routine? What do you love to do during the day to start the day off with? That's something that
Oh, usually I start the day with a workout and with music because my best time is in the morning.
yeah.
Um, So I try to get at least a half hour of guitar in, or right now I'm noodling around with writing a guitar piece, and some form of workout, a stretch flow, which is a yoga based thing just to
Yeah.
stretch the major muscle groups in the joints, Pilates. So that's generally first thing in the morning. Once summertime comes, I will add gardening to that because I can
Yeah.
get out early in the morning.
Yes.
Um, and then when the day comes, it just depends on the day.
Sure.
It really just depends on the day.
Yeah.
I
Is it work or
Yeah.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I belong to a couple of different sort of underwater archaeology organizations, and so
I
I
love
geek
that
out
too.
on that.
Hmm.
Um, and
I just
science
read
fiction,
something crazy that you posted about that. Yes, now I know where that is
Oh,
coming.
the Ghost Ship Conference? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that was very, very
Yes.
cool. Very cool.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I tend to, I'm a geek and a nerd. It just depends on which discipline I'm geeking out on.
They're great, and it's good to be. Yes, you're in a great place. Absolutely. I have another question for you.
Uh,
Always, of course, for our listeners. What is, and just like anybody else, we have a big bag full of hardship and trauma and pain. What is your wisdom, lessons learned out of that? So what are you,
ooh,
what would you give our daily what would you give me your day, the daily wisdom, right?
I'm gonna say, and my friend Bren I see is on. I lost my son 12 years ago now, and I'm gonna say that what I learned from that is that you will survive and you will be whole, and that it never goes away, but it does get better. And I think that's true of an awful lot of things. And that reaching out for help is a good thing.
Yeah,
And things take time. And you have to recognize we live in a society of instant gratification now.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
yeah,
there are things that simply do not change instantly.
absolutely.
So whether it's physical trauma, whether you're going through rehab for hip or knee or whatever that is,
Mhm.
whether it's emotional trauma, whether it's mental, I don't know if you can separate mental and emotional, but let's say that you can.
Mhm.
Um, it takes time, and it takes more time than you think, and you have to allow yourself that space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So
thank you
that's
for
my
sharing.
wisdom.
Thank you for sharing that. And it is,
Ren has a book coming out, by the way. I see
I want
she's
to talk to Brent. So Brent, don't go anywhere. I want to talk to you. And yeah, and we're going to hang up here in a second when it comes to being everywhere online. That will be the end of our life. But we have always, that's the great thing on this platform. We are the #1 interactive platform in the world. We always talk afterwards with our guests. So that's the great thing of being in the studio, right? We're going to have a chat, Brent, here in a second. But it's very in line, Lisa. Thank you so much for saying that. With my now I call that my own famous quote. Life doesn't get any easier. Really, it doesn't. But you get better at it. And that's
I
what
think
people
that's
always
probably
say.
true.
And that's what I like to say
Yeah.
because in a sense we get better at it of not being uh losing it or being hysterical or getting into, hey, guilty, getting into addictive substance behavior, or guilty, making it like, oh, it will go away, I'm not going to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Guilty,
I
right? This
think
kind
we
of stuff
just,
you can't do. It takes time.
one of
Absolutely.
the advantages of getting older, and I genuinely think that it's an advantage, because we always talk about the disadvantages. We don't move as well, we don't look as good, we don't blah, blah. But
Yeah,
one of the advantages of getting older is perspective
yeah, yeah.
and the ability to look back and go, you're like, I tell my clients, yeah, the car accident I had when I was 19, it's back to haunt me today. But I
Mhm.
know what that is and I know how to deal with it. And you've had a lot of life that you've been through, that's happened to you, and you have that perspective of being able to look at it and go, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't, this is what I'm going to do.
Yes, yes. And you are so full of life and passion. I love you for it.
Thanks.
My strong cookie, my amazing Lisa. I love you for it. Thank you so much for sharing and being on the show today. It was awesome. Where can our viewers and listeners find you?
You can find me at tranquilbodywork at icloud.com. I'm working on a website right now and I'm a
Good,
computer idiot.
good.
So that's going to be a while. But if you want to talk to me, shoot me an email there.
Absolutely.
And, I'm happy to start a conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm on
Tranquil Body
Facebook too,
Work.
also under Tranquil Bodywork.
Yeah. Tranquil
So,
Body Works. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And I'm gonna post that in our video description as well, underneath and all, so people can find you and be in
perfect.
person with you, because there's nothing better than being in person live with Lisa. Thank you, my dear. I love
Thank
you. Thank you
you.
for today.
Oh,
We're gonna
fun.
continue the conversation offline, and I
Okay.
will see everybody else next week. Thank you for watching Elio's Joy. Namaste. Make it an amazing day. Thank you for watching.